mentioned another point of differentiation earlier, but it's critical. It's not just R&D. It's not just bringing innovation out and bringing it out first. It's about finding a point of differentiation, and design is a critical one for us. We think that there are still big opportunities to differentiate on that, whether that's in the home or in the enterprise. And that's an area that we're going to continue to focus on. And a part of that is having design centers, not just in one market, not just in Korea, but around the globe. And it's something that enables us to really capture the tastes and trends and future opportunities. And all of these have enabled us to remain a global leader in many of these categories. Right? And there's a host of number ones here in refrigeration, television, smartphone, tablets number 2. Still have a little bit of work to do in that space. The semiconductor, a big part of the thrust of Samsung's business. And if we take that down a notch here in the US, this is just a snapshot of half a dozen of our consumer-based businesses, which also apply in the enterprise as well. And the blue line is Samsung. And the point here is, again, number one position in many of these categories that we think will continue to help us in the enterprise space. We think it helps us in the enterprise because the consumerization of the IT space could never be greater. The importance of having a strong consumer brand could never be more important in the enterprise space than it is today. We recognize that. We're continuing to invest in our brand here, and we become a top 10 brand globally. We're not talking about against our traditional competitors, but all brands and some powerful brands. And we're going to continue to aspire to work to improve upon this. This helps us in our B2B efforts, but at the same time, we recognize that gives us a halo, and that's an important piece, but we need to also speak in enterprise terms and enterprise needs, and you're going to see more and more of that coming from Samsung. Another key differentiator for us that we believe is supply chain. This industry moves so fast, right? We treat our products like lettuce. It has to be managed in a way that helps the value chain. And all industries and all categories operate slightly different, so I'm not saying everyone is in this space. But we think it's important, and we think it's important for us to collaborate well with our partners to take advantage of the benefits of an effective supply chain. And I put this up here, the Gartner ranking, because Gartner speaks enterprise language, right? And they're recognizing us in this space as well. But we believe it's a point of differentiation for us, and we believe in our industry, in electronics, an industry that operates in many cases on single-digit operating margins, small single-digit operating margins for some companies, that the difference between those who do this well and those that don't is the difference between profit and loss. Right? So it's that important to us. But all of those 5 key components have helped us grow our business rather significantly, especially over the last 5 years. And this is an important attribute, an important component of what Samsung stands for. If we look at just the set business, right, and move semiconductor off of that, the Americas is continuing to grow in size and grow in importance, as represented by nearly 30% of the finished goods business. And as we reported recently, our revenues a little over $100 billion for the half. We have some work to do to continue our growth plan. We know that. But that's what this company's DNA is about, is how do we continue to grow? How do we continue to innovate? How do we continue to create? But that's where we are. Let's move for a second and talk a little bit about where we're going, where we aspire to go, and how we think we can get there. You know, we're a company that has set very aggressive goals for 2020. And these goals were actually set in late 2009. At that point, we were, I don't know, a $70, $80 billion company and aspiring to be 400 billion. Now you can do the math on the CAGR required to do that. Now, up until now, we're tracking to that level. But we know we need to do more. We need to be in businesses we're not in. We need to grow in categories we're not leading in. And we need to continue to drive our company and drive the opportunities to enable us to achieve this. But it's not just numbers, right? It is about how do we become a top 10 multinational, the most innovative company, the most admired company. Those are pretty lofty goals. But that's really the DNA of the company, is to set these goals. We have a view to how to get there. Don't have it exactly nailed, but you set those goals, aspire to achieve those. But it recognizes that our core business on the left has been the traditional domain. We sort of call it infotainment. Right? It is, you know, a component-based business, a set-based business that has really been around info, around telecommunications, around entertainment. That's been the core of what Samsung has stood for. And that's going to continue with a greater focus on content and services in our business. At the same time, on the right is sort of the newer domain. We see big opportunities in this life care space, in this healthcare, convenience, welfare. There's big growth prospects, big opportunities for disruption in that space. And we want to be a part of that. We want to help create that. And we need partners to do that with us. Taking it down a little bit to North America again, taking a little shorter horizon. We aspire to grow our business in significant ways, but it's not just growth. It's taking a look at sort of the phases or the steps we have been under and where we're going. You know, the first phase of this was that big shift from analog to digital, right? And we were a pretty small company way back when there. Right? This next phase, right, was another period over the last 7 or 8 years where design and technology were front and center. And it enabled us to again double our business. And here's where we are today. Right? It's about connected solutions. It's about an understanding that the growth opportunity for us, B2B, is front and center in that. Right? And it's not just, I want to sell products, right? It's really, we're looking at a vertical orientation to our business. What does healthcare need? What does banking need? Right? What do we need to do in retail? How do we win in these spaces? A solutions orientation at front and center in that area. We're very focused on building sort of this one face or this one Samsung. In fact, we just announced this recently, that Samsung, which is in the US, is operated on a mobile business based right down the street here in Richardson, our electronics business up in New Jersey, and we're really integrating those businesses as we speak and really looking for opportunities of synergy. And that is going to come about in a number of ways. It already has begun in the enterprise space. And it starts with one face to the customer. Not our mobile division and our electronics division. We need to bring all that together. And we're doing a lot of that. You'll, I think, hear a little more about that. But connectivity, building brand, go-to-market channels, all of those are critical components aimed at enabling us to do our part here in the US to help the company achieve those 2020 goals and 2020 vision. For us here again, how do we do that in the US? How do we do that in the business that I manage? Is two discrete go-to-market teams, if you will. We have a retail or consumer team and an enterprise team, and we're really taking a different approach to each of those businesses and within each of those businesses. On retail, we're building and taking really a lot of the learnings from the consumer packaged goods industry that are going to help us really continue to be the thought leader in that space. Understanding the role of content and solutions in connected devices, right, and common communication platforms are critical. On the enterprise, it is that vertical orientation. It's looking for areas where we can help in managed services. It's recognizing this integration is already occurring in a number of places. So those go-to-market strategies exist on both, but anchored and absolutely anchored in product strength, in a channel-friendly approach to our business that relies on partners. And in all of this strategy that I'm talking about here, the one thing we recognize is we can't do it alone. This vision of where we're going is absolutely continues to be a very partner-friendly approach, number one. Partners not only from a channel perspective, but new partners in our portfolio. In the last 30 days, we have acquired 3 companies. One of them's here in the audience, and you're going to hear about, I think, a little later. But we've acquired companies in the smart home space, in the HVAC space, and now in the printer space. All of them aimed and clearly focused on connecting and laddering up to that vision of connected devices, connected solutions, smarter things. And that's an important distinction, an important change for Samsung, who did a lot of this historically on our own. But we're living in a new world, and partners are absolutely critical to that, and we're going to continue to build upon that. B2B, if it wasn't clear, it is a critical component of our growth strategy. Right? When you've got a 35% share of the television business or the smartphone business, right, and aspiring to do 20% growth per year over the next 7 years in industries that are flat, you got to look for new opportunities of growth. B2B is absolutely that. We're absolutely committed to that. We're investing resources on it, and we look to expand that portfolio of our business in ways that recognize that. Todd and the team are going to talk more about this, so I'll just mention this, that we have a vision, we have a view. As I mentioned, it is, we know what we do well, we know what our partners do well. Let's focus on that and bring the strengths of that together. Let's look at these verticals, think about solutions, understand the needs in mobility, understands, again, the consumerization, recognize the importance of security. We need to build all of these components together, and we have a view to that, and print is an important part of that. Right? We know it's a big market. We have some strengths globally in subsegments of that, A4 in particular. Right? We are going to grow and are growing significantly in A3. But the connectivity is an area that we think we can differentiate. It's an area together we think that we need to differentiate. It's an opportunity to continue to enhance the relevancy, the importance, and put this solution in the forefront of this connected environment. So I'm excited about the prospects here. You're going to hear a lot more of that today from the team. But this business and this industry is vital to Samsung's future, our future aspirations, and we cannot do it without you. I want to thank you for your support that you provided all of these dealers that have been here for the long haul with us. Right? We're continuing to learn, we're continuing to improve, we have a lot more to go. The newer dealers, we're thrilled that you're here with us. We have a view, we have a vision, but as Matt said, be vocal. You are vital components of that growth, and we look forward to doing it with you together. So thank you very much.